This podcast is part of E2C Network, where we share the whole Auburn experience. David Housel described it best. We are living the whole of the Auburn experience. You can quantify it, you can qualify it through a variety of methods, time, people, places, and things. But at its heart and at its core, the Auburn experience is all about Auburn sports, Auburn culture, Auburn family stuff. Say it with me. The easy way to say it is orange and blue. It's what we do. So thank you so much for joining us in what we're doing today, episode 170 of the Auburn Experience podcast. As always, trying to make it through this week, your co-host Kyle Loomis back in the saddle here, and the Auburn co-host who is much better off, I'm sure, even with two twin boys in a much better mental state than I am, Mr. Austin Scott. Welcome back, sir.
Well, you're just trying to make it through the week. As our friends know, I'm just trying to make it through the episode. So we'll just see if I will say this. An extender has been purchased and ordered.
I was going to say it's already there.
No. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. It's been ordered. Might have been today. But we'll see if when it comes in, if it makes a big difference. I don't have my hopes very high, so we'll just see how it goes. But hey, look, we're all just trying to make it through something. That's the story. That's the moral of the story.
We're all just trying to make it through something, man. I as I said, I've had a week. You have a stream every time with some of your internet troubles. You fade in and out. You thought you had it fixed last week, and boy, was it a ride sometimes.
Definitely didn't.
And see, look, folks that are listening just to the audio portion, we appreciate you guys doing that so much. And in fact, it's the heartbeat behind everything that we do here. But you are missing a little bit of something if you don't watch the live portion of the show or go back and watch it, because there are times that we have to kind of clean things up and edit them out. May have been a rant that I pulled out of the live portion from last week. You can go watch it on the live if you want. I'm just going to remove that from the audio portion. One less opportunity for someone to get mad at me, which just adds to this week of me making people unhappy. But hey, that's just life sometimes. All right, I'm going to try to keep it together this stream. And we, as always, have so much to talk about in this Auburn experience. I don't think it's going to slow down anytime soon. Austin and I keep a list of things to talk about. Yep. And there's a growing back burner of stuff that I don't know that we'll ever get to at this rate, given that we have to spend more time talking about Jordan-Hare North coming up in a little bit, but wasn't going to be this week. I do want us to start off, Austin, with something that I am so ashamed that we did not talk about in the last episode. And do you know what that is?
I have a feeling if it's what I think it is, if I saw it live.
I don't know if we're talking about the same thing here, but I'm just going to say it. Maybe it did have to be this way. Gus Malzahn is back in town. Officially, he's back at practice. Well, back visiting a practice and things like that. Now, I don't think we talked about this last week. Am I correct?
I don't think so, no.
It was amongst all the other things that happened. Can we just all admit that the world is healing itself? Like in some ways.
Can we all admit it? I don't think we'll all be able to admit it because there's some stubborn nature out there. But certainly feels like it could be good fortune shifting back.
It just feels like the world is righting itself with Gus choosing to come back to Auburn, which also, just by the way, the amount of you that fell for this story that he's somehow being hired or like a shadow staff member or something like that. Like, who knows? I mean, of course, that's always a possibility. But let's be honest. Some of y'all just want a juicy story. It's no different than Gus just loves Auburn and he wants to be back here. So I couldn't be happier about this, Austin. To be, you and I obviously have been some of his biggest apologists and proponents, and reminding people it didn't have to be this way for years now. I don't know. Maybe it did have to be this way if we get him back.
Maybe it did, just to come back the right way. And looks like he and Miss Christie are on the move back closer to home, and back in town. So certainly in a football space, it looks like he's back and around practice every day. Alex Kolish certainly was very complimentary of him and said, hey, I'll take all the tidbits and help I can get, learning what kind of high pressure cooker this job is. But he's back, and I don't think anyone's surprised. And look, just in time, because a new Waffle House just opened right on College Street up by Cary Creek. So just in time for him to come back, the king to come home.
But can he go away from the one where the original story started of him being turned away and having the booth dedicated to him? Like, I think he's got to go to the original, right?
The way I see it, he has more time on his hands than he's ever had before. You might as well try them all. See if you can get a booth at every one.
Waffle House, if you do not put Gus Malzahn in an ad today, not that Waffle House has to advertise. I mean, by the way, hello, Waffle House. If you
please,
two of the biggest Gus Malzahn people over here. I mean, just put him in an ad today. Like, just do that, and I think it would go.
This Brit backdrop is about to be waffles.
Speaking of which, who was it? Joe Simmons had the Waffle House Auburn hat this week. You know, that after the 8A game, that was pretty good.
Came from Waffles with Woodard.
There you go. A little shout out there. I did not anticipate us going from Gus Malzahn to Waffle House and this becoming like the.
I went to the new Waffle House this week. We usually talk about an Auburn moment in our, opener here. I went to the new Waffle House this week. So there's our tie-in. It was great. Doesn't feel like that burner's quite greased over yet. Doesn't feel like there's some things probably living on it yet. That so it's a little too new.
You're killing that sponsorship, by the way.
Good play. You got to lean into it. Everybody wants your hash browns chopped, slobbered, covered, whatever they say, and that's just part of it. Whatever you get the little bacteria that's growing on there, it's good for you.
Oh, God. You dug the hole, you got us back out, and then you dug it back again. So appreciate that very much. Sorry, Waffle House. We tried to help you. Just don't take any advice from us, I guess. Just get Gus Malzahn, and don't fire him, and then you won't have to say it didn't have to be this way. I brought it all the way back around. Here we are. One other thing that we got to discuss, because I'm going to take it that's what you wanted to open up with today, unless you had something different.
No, you're right.
Listen, pretty cool moment this week that's not sports related, but we've seen this happen, I believe, during COVID, where the Blue Angels flew over Auburn, Alabama. And, the announcement came before it happened. It wasn't like a big surprise, but boy, I got a lot of attention across the country and stuff like that. Blue Angels flew over Auburn. You could, there's some great videos. One that we shared out was one right over Sanford Hall. And I think they did two passes, right? Like one kind of over the middle-ish leading over Sanford of campus, and then one down the College Street angle. That was a pretty cool thing. So I think you had somewhat of a view of it from where you were.
Did. Yeah. Better view than I anticipated I had. A coworker of mine and I walked out the front of the education building along Duncan Drive. And so that first pass, we saw it come from my left toward the stadium and over the stadium toward Sanford Hall. And that way there was a moment where there was a big group of people. They were a little behind schedule, and there's a big group of people out there, and everyone's like, did we miss it? Maybe we couldn't see it after all. And I'm like, I think we would have heard it. Sure enough, here they come. And there was no missing the Blue Angels with their jet stream and their loud engines and everything. So very cool. Tons of videos and pictures out there from the shots over stadium, the shots over Sanford Hall. I'd never seen them in person myself, to be honest. And so it was very cool to see. And I hope I get to see them again soon. But very cool. Even cooler that Commander Lily Montana is the alum flying over as well. So very cool to have an Auburn representative fly over her alma mater, and it just adds to the Auburn experience.
It does. And of course, it just feels like Auburn keeps lucking out having these Auburn family members in the right places at the right time. And
are they lucking out though? Are they lucking out?
Or maybe it's just we're taking over the world and the Auburn family is just everywhere. I guess
maybe it's just when you come here, when you come to Auburn, you're prepared to do anything, and you're prepared to make a difference and an impact anywhere, opening a door and improving a life somewhere. And there's no better place to be at Auburn University than right there. And so Commander Lily Montana is your latest example.
Auburn University, you can clip that if you need to. You have my permission for a
I think they got my permission when I signed the dotted line. But
well, I mean, it's still our content over here, but I'm just saying, that's why I shut up and just let you go, because it was like you're pulling the company line right there and working that out. I love that. That was good stuff. I mean, it's almost like you've done that before or something. Really cool moment with the Blue Angels. And like we said, it's happened, for different reasons and things like that. I mean, two really cool flyovers in a matter of 6 months, really, because of the flyovers at the Tiger Walk for the Iron Bowl. Now the Blue Angels coming back. So, Auburn obviously known for aerospace engineering, but we're really working the angles on that all together. And look, if you want to tie all this in, like talking about bringing the Auburn family and we're everywhere. Another thing that we haven't mentioned, and I'll just throw it in here last minute. Tim Cook announced that he is going to be stepping down from Apple, former Auburn alum. And so we won't be able to claim Apple anymore, Austin. I think that's a little bit sad.
It is. It's a little bit sad. Someone else will get to claim it. But Tim Cook, a long time. I remember very vividly when Steve Jobs passed away and Tim Cook was the next guy up. And it was from that moment on, Auburn has never failed to not hammer home that the CEO of Apple is an Auburn alum. And so we won't get that anymore, but congrats to him on retirement and best of luck to him. Maybe that means we'll get to see him around some games even more often.
I bet that means the case, but I think this ends that opportunity for that giant Apple symbol to appear on.
Probably so.
On the logos on the jersey or something.
You can probably scratch them off the list of the jersey sponsor.
I guess there goes something yellow again over there on the chest plate or something like that.
Not. Anything else.
Check that sponsorship off the list that Austin just ruined for us right there. Too.
I just want to see some diversity. That's all.
I hear you.
It's okay. Well, look, we'll make our background yellow if we'd be happy to do that.
What's your problem with the color yellow? You have disparaged Waffle House.
Do you really want me to lose more sponsors here for you if I go down this yellow?
Who else could we ruin? Black and Decker? No, that's a black one. That's got yellow in it.
They're all
DeWalt. Don't say anything about DeWalt.
Yeah.
Don't say.
Well, okay. Yeah.
That's enough. That's enough out of you, sir. All right. Let's jump into it. Auburn potpourri time. Plenty to talk about this week. And we're going to start with some news that I thought, not that I was surprised that it was going to be arriving this quickly, but I guess I didn't have it for my Monday news cycle ready to go.
Same.
Gymnastics has a brand new head coach. And not only was it kind of pleasantly surprised to see how quickly that happened, which leads you to believe that maybe people go into these decisions with a plan and things like that. It's also a little bit of a unique surprise and connection that once again, as much as we talk about the Auburn and Georgia rivalry in football, but yes, across sports, and I call it connective tissue between the two, it will continue to grow in that connective tissue. Auburn will hire co-head coach of UGA, Ryan Roberts, to be their next gymnastics head coach. Austin, your reactions to that?
Yeah, I'm with you. I think it was twofold surprise of being, wow, okay, we're done. I did, and
that's quick.
And not that gymnastics isn't important, but when you hear it's a lower profile sport, you don't get quite the tidbits on maybe who they're looking into, who they're interviewing quite as much. And so I think because of that, it was like, okay, there's the announcement. This is official, but also it's from one of the top programs in the country.
Yep.
And a co-head coach who has obviously led Georgia for quite some time now, has been at other prominent programs in the SEC and others, and now is going to kind of do his own solo show as the head coach of the Auburn Tigers. So known for really good recruiting in gymnastics. Auburn's done well in that area, but now maybe it bolsters it even more so. And obviously is known for winning and taking teams to the top level of the NCAAs quite often. So sounds really exciting. I'll be honest. Yeah. I was pretty surprised and impressed by that is the hire John Cohen and his staff pulled off. And I really look forward to seeing kind of the benefits of it probably really soon.
Yeah, I think that's where I sit too on this one, because you and I think that just, having fun with it, predicting maybe where they would go for the next head coach. Would it be, we ruled out, would it be an internal staff? Because that probably would have already happened. Would it be an up and comer? I don't think you put this one as an up and comer. This is someone that is the co-head coach. So I don't know who came first, the lady or him at Georgia. I haven't researched it all that much, but you are the co-head coach of a very prominent SEC, just a prominent gymnastics program. Let's even not SEC is not even necessary there. So this is a big hire. At least it feels like on the surface. We don't know how the future is going to go, but certainly this is one of those times I think that you step back and go, okay, I see what you're doing, AD Cohen, and just let him cook for a little bit. Let's see where this goes. And I want to reiterate what we talked about with the Graba, mutual parting of ways. We both love Coach Jeff Graber, and we're sad to see him go. And sometimes we don't know the reasons behind it. When there's a mutual party, and some people are always skeptical and say, hey, was it really mutual, or were you kind of forced to do that? Nobody knows except them. But obviously it feels like there was a somewhat of a respect issue, or not issue, but thing in the way that it was left about that type of thing. So the future begins now with Ryan Roberts as the head coach of Auburn Gymnastics. Georgia was a little toxic, I think, on the way out and put the boldly on their now only head coach there. But that's an interesting dynamic there. I love when Auburn and Georgia just kind of, trade things like that. And it just makes that rivalry even juicier.
It definitely will. I was thinking the same thing. And I don't think Auburn got to play them in this year in gymnastics. And so I think so. I would imagine they'll be on the schedule, though, for next year. That's usually how that works. And so we'll go ahead.
They might have been at one of those quad meets, if I'm not mistaken.
Right, I think you're right. Yeah, but not the home and home, or
sure.
You know what I mean.
Yeah.
So I look forward to that. But I'm with you. I did research just a tad, and I think they came at the same time. I think the head coach now of the Georgia Bulldogs, I think, she was more kind of similar to Jeff Graber's twin brother, Jess, if you remember, who coached Suni Lee, was more in the private sector, but had a lot of success. And then they kind of coupled her with Ryan Roberts to like who had known the collegiate recruiting and collegiate atmosphere a little bit more to help her phase in. And so, it sounds like you're speaking orange and blue language when you say I'd prefer that, but I like that the guy has been around the conference and around college gymnastics for a long time. Seems like there's a lot of experience there. So really looking forward to it. I honestly, truly, and I know that's not everyone's cup of tea on our show, and I understand that, but I was genuinely very excited when I saw the press release and got to read more about him.
Yeah. This speculation game, I think, of this hire has been won and done very well. What the future holds is up in the air. We'll watch it and monitor it and obviously report on it here. But right now, I think it's in speculation alone, knock home run higher, it looks like at this point for Auburn Gymnastics. Let's move on to football here, and there's plenty more of that coming up. But let's talk some more recruiting. And it's starting to pick up. The 2027 class is going to start being compiled probably a lot over this summer. Another edition this week when there was a lot of potential decisions out there that could have affected Auburn. This one's a little unique because we're going up north a little bit for this one. Myson Johnson Cook, running back from East Illinois, I think is what it was. But no, East St. Louis, which is, I think, anywhere, wherever it is. And I think it's like this most southern tip of Illinois or something like that. Because, for those of you who don't know geography, and all the St. Louis kind of borders basically everything, it feels like. Yeah. But yeah, so brand new running back from up there. I think there was a lot of hope that he was going to commit to Auburn this week. He would be the first running back in the class, and who knows how many they'll have. But that's kind of got a little bit of a spark this week. So a nice get for Coach Golish and starting to get that class rolling for 2027.
Yeah, certainly. One of the big dominoes to see fall, and one of those big recruits that kind of this staff has prioritized. We've seen this staff, the defensive staff, who's obviously had a lot of continuity, get some guys, but the offensive staff to pull a big name like this, I think a top 5 running back in the country as it's rated by whoever you want to choose to look at.
Sure.
But a lot of talk about some other big programs, Miami being one. Certainly, obviously they have had just a lot of success this last year and have not had a couple coaching changes like Auburn has. So it shows you a lot on what the vision they were able to sell Myson and what he could be. Certainly the Auburn running back room is nothing to snuff at, and the history there is plenty to sell on its own. So hopefully that played a case, and hopefully we'll see Johnson Cook follow through all the way. It's a long way till December. But what a great start for this staff on the recruiting trail.
But you wonder too, like where the connection was, just not a place that Auburn goes historically, but you see this often with new head coaching regimes come in. They're trying to reach out to some other, places just to kind of get things going in their first stint, but also there are other connections as well. Cause we always focus on the Alabama, Georgia, Florida group right there where your primary recruits come from. And then the tertiary surrounding Southeast
and Maryland.
And Thank you. So, okay. So is this the new Maryland? You know, I mean, that's got DJ Durkin, you know, that's where he's pulling from all there in Texas A&M and all that stuff. So whoever it was that's got the connections in East St. Louis, basically whatever other state it borders, Illinois or whatever, you know, congrats. Nice pull for Auburn early in this 2027 cycle. And we'll be excited to see, did we just pick up the next great member of Auburn, or running back U, as they are correctly called by those that, you know that Bo Jackson came here, and many, many more other than that. All right, let's talk baseball. Obviously, big weekend for them with Sanford. You know, they're done with the home midweek games right now, but went to the Hoover Met and laid it to Sanford, and that's you know, I mean, it's putting it nicely.
Yeah,
and that's a precursor to where you'll be playing for the SEC tournament. We talked about, like, with Bruce back in the day a lot, when he would go to Tampa when the basketball tournament was there, you know, go get the sight lines and so like that. It's a different sport, I know, but you know, that's obviously got to factor in a little bit the decision to schedule that there. And obviously not that far of a drive for Sanford, but sorry for the walloping that Auburn put to you. But this weekend was the more important thing, with the top 10 matchup, depending on which rankings you look at across the board. Auburn, Oklahoma in Plainsman Park. Auburn takes the series and wins game 1, 6-4, loses 1-2 in game 2, but then just wallops in a run rule Oklahoma in the final game 14-4, and boy, was it a good time this week. So all in all, Austin, yeah, I know it's not perfect, but I think if you're an Auburn baseball fan, you got to feel really good where the team is sitting right now in SEC play.
Yeah, this was certainly one of the first of a 4-week stretch with in conference play, where Auburn was facing everybody just about right ahead of them in the conference standings. Oklahoma being the first one, and them able to get them at Plainsman Park for a 3-game set. Friday night, you feel really good that Andres Alvarez turns in another gem on Friday night and does a really good job. The bats stay alive just enough to beat out Oklahoma. They can't keep it going for Jake Marciano, and I just hate it for him, because the guy absolutely deals every single time out, but just doesn't quite get the run support as much. So they're going to love to have him in the postseason when you can really schedule him out and lay him out the way you want. Jake Marciano continues to just put an absolute elite year together. And then today, like you said, the offense found every bit of it. Ethan Dingerman hit 3 bombs.
I think I'm the one that coined that.
You are.
And you gave me some crap for that. So don't even try to act like you're going to slide in here and steal that from me. I said that a long time ago. All right, go ahead.
Ethan Dingerman, trademarked by Kyle Loomis.
No, Dingaman. Because it's Dingaman. I know it doesn't roll off as much as
Dingaman. I like Dingerman. Ethan Dingerman, trademarked by me, hits 3 today. And I mean, Eric Guevara hit 1, Bub Terrell hit 1, Chase Fralick hit 1.
Austin hit 1. He wasn't even there.
I wasn't there, no. It was bombs away at Plainsman Park, and just really fun to see this team's offensive burst come alive. They'll need a lot more of it. No midweek at all this week, home or away. They go to College Station, and then they go to Starkville, and then they're home against Georgia. And if you look at the standings, those are the 3 ahead of you. So it does not ever get easier in this league, but it certainly won't for the Auburn Tigers. And but 30 wins as today, I believe, marked 30 wins. So that's a key milestone for the seeding committees and all the things, and certainly how your conference record looks as well. I think they're now 12-10. And I think 12 is usually a magic number too. So just all sorts of good things that came out of this series this weekend for Auburn as they continue to make their postseason bids. Yeah,
I'm very pleased with where they're at currently. Certainly there was a lull there with losing the Texas series at home, and the old Alabama thing. Yes, you got us. Okay, Alabama fans, just revel in it while you can. But right now, I think where they have found their footing again, and not sweeping series, but it's difficult to do that in the SEC, at least on a consistent basis. And so the fact that you're winning the ones you're supposed to at home, and as you said, it doesn't get any easier right now. You're starting to see the offense pick up, and it's not just one person. Like Chase Fralick is the guy in game 2 that felt like you were about to shift Auburn into the driver's seat to win game 2. So, he's there, he's throwing people out from the, as the catcher, and the bats are flying around. And then you're just feeling pretty solid, even on their worst days with those core 4. When I say core 4, you could really interchange them as starting pitchers, because we've seen Jackson Sanders in that slot, but having him there as that go-to guy of, we need this game to be locked down, but we got to pull somebody. That's a really strong thing to have there. So I just really like the way this team is shaping up on the back end of this season in the SEC schedule. So there's a lot to be excited about there. But they are victorious over the Oklahoma Sooners in Plainsman Park, thankfully. Let me just bring softball up real quick. We haven't had a lot of great things to talk about with softball recently, but obviously they did get a win today on Senior Day versus Ole Miss. They came very close the rest of the way of doing that as well, but especially in game 2. Senior Day, Destiny Rogers gets her 100 career hits, and then obviously Michaela Walker, also a senior too. It's a tough road in the SEC, and we said that. It is year 2 of the coach's Malvo, and certainly I think they and everybody else hope that there would be a little bit more. I got one more series, I believe, in SEC play before it wraps up, but at least a little bit of momentum to get through as they round out the SEC schedule. And the wins are they're tough to come by, it seems like.
They're very tough to come by, and it's been some more growing pains this year for Auburn softball, but what a great way to cap Senior Day and get them a win today. So I think it was also Coach Kate Malvo's birthday, so
that's
what a birthday present to her.
Yes, there you go. It all came together. It's almost like they planned it. Hopefully Ole Miss didn't plan it as well. We'll just say that Auburn planned that one. I mean, the offense showed up in a big way, 13-3. So outstanding, and a run rule victory for them on Senior Day. So congrats to the seniors and to the team. Finally, this is probably the most redundant thing that we could say, as the social media team for Auburn men's golf would say. In other news, the sky is blue. And yes, Jackson Coyven is a back-to-back 3-time SEC individual champion for men's golf. Wow. Austin, was this one of the ones that you were counting for when I asked you to predict how many individual wins he'd have the rest of the season? Was this one of them?
Yes. Yeah, okay. Definitely. I lost count. I don't remember how many.
You met it. Like your prediction.
I got there.
True.
I got there because he's not done nothing but win since that day. So it's just unbelievable. It really is unbelievable. There's nothing to say, and I don't think people are getting. I sent it to one of my friends this week, and I said, there's going to be so many people that regret they didn't follow him quite as closely at Auburn as they did when he's winning major after major, because it's going to be, I'm telling you, when Jackson Coyven hits the Pro Tour next year, he's going to win so many majors, and he's going to be the next guy that Auburn is constantly reminding people, hey, he's ours. Hey, by the way, he's ours. Hey, when he has his green jacket on and there's an Auburn billfold sticking out his back pocket.
Green jacket.
Someday, yes, when he's got his Auburn billfold sticking out his back pocket, when they put the green jacket on him, Auburn's going to put it everywhere. I'm telling you, the kid's a stud. There's been all sorts of metrics this week you can look at that show, like, since they started tracking stats, he's the highest amateur ever to play the game, over Spieth, over Tiger, over all these guys. He's a generational talent. And it's been very impressive to see him just consistently win his individual championships.
I just thought of another social media thing from their team that I love today. It's the Thanos image with Jackson Coyven said, "I am inevitable." Like, I mean, it's just awesome. I mean, listen, you feel like sometimes you are watching a generational talent, and that feels like it is. Certainly, we acknowledge the orange and blue glass effect here, and you always want to take a step back and ask, are we sensationalize this? But no, I mean, like, this is
there's plenty out there though that don't have those glasses and are marveling at this kid.
The PGA is acknowledging this. They're talking about the collegiate records that some of the PGA's greats, John Rahm, Tiger Woods, and what he's done eclipsed all that stuff. He's the second person in so many years to do back-to-back SEC championships. So the individual thing was wrapped up, and it was absolutely great. Now, we won't talk about the rest of it because fortunately Auburn men's golf did get upset by Ole Miss, the eventual champion.
We need one more little individual win there, Jackson.
And it's almost like he had so much pressure on him because if you looked how the score broke down, I
Yeah.
think he lost one in one of them, and then he tied for the other one. So it was almost like I did it, and then it's not on him. Everybody else is part of the team and stuff like that. And just credit to Ole Miss. Ole Miss came in and they won the whole thing. So as we tell you, just because someone as an individual or team looks outstanding and good doesn't mean that someone can't catch them on the right day. So I don't want to say that this is what needed to happen to set Auburn up for success for the rest of the postseason, but you could make that case that, hey, yeah, y'all have been having it, quote unquote, so easy for so long here in this season. Maybe you need a little reminder that you're not inevitable, that you can be knocked off by someone. And it wasn't a bad team in Ole Miss, but maybe you just need that little bit of extra the rest of the way through regionals and into the actual championship out in Carlsbad, California. Just lock in everybody, including the 3-time SEC championship, back-to-back SEC champions. So I'm excited.
The team play, we talk about it every year. The team play is very intriguing to watch. It's very different and fun to keep up with, all happening at the same time. But you have to have all 5 guys be ready. And it's not just Jackson Coyven. The year they won, Brendan Valdez had an incredible game, incredible match in his one-on-one that helped them win it all. So it's everybody. Jackson will certainly go on to do big things one-on-one. He'll compete for the individual national championship, all the things. But for Auburn to get that second men's golf team one, they all going to have to get it. So you're right. It could have been a really good reminder this week.
Hopefully it's just that last little bit that gets them over the edge and things like that. And just as like a final note in the golf world, because don't let it be not said about the women's golf team having a pretty good year themselves. But I don't know that anybody had them making the finals of the SEC golf championship. Now, maybe you had them making the semifinals. They've had some pretty good individual and team victories this year as well. But they do make it to the actual finals and come just shy against Tennessee, 2-3 in that team play. And boy, how wild would it have been if you live in an alternate reality, talk about Thanos, all those kind of things, the MCU, if Auburn men's and women's golf did it all in the same year that were that close, man. It's fun. It's fun. I would hope what these last few years have taught you, men's and women's golf as Auburn fans, is that you need to lock in more to these spring sports, especially, that you're not paying attention to, and you should, because all of you that want to lament about, oh, it's the Auburn way, we just, we up and down, all that stuff, there's nothing to be happy about. Some of you need to wake up to how much there is to be happy about in the Auburn experience. Tied it all in there at the end for Auburn potpourri. All right, we'll move some stuff around and have to cover those next week, but boy, main topics, plenty to discuss. I'm going to let you pick this week. It is in order on the screen. If you would like to talk about the other first, we can. Do you want to do basketball?
Well, it's different in our notes app here, but we can
on
talk
the screen.
We can go with the screen for all the people that are following live.
All right, let's go with the screen here. We're going to talk Auburn basketball portal week. It has been a lively one at that. And I think we need to start before we get to the additions about talking about the, I want to say surprise departures, but they're only a little bit surprising in that we thought we had you, and we thought you were locked in, and we thought, so certainly the first part of the postseason after winning an NIT championship for Coach Pearl and the rest of the staff was locking in everybody else, getting Tahad to stay, and very quickly was huge in that regard, and a lot of the other pieces as well. Others were locked in and then decided they weren't. Elijah Freeman, I think we mentioned him last week. I don't know if it had transpired by then, but he goes off and after saying publicly that he was locked in. Now, Sway had a full thing. So Sebastian Williams-Adams, he's back, all that stuff, and things just change. And to make matters worse, he decides to go to an SEC team in Vanderbilt. Now, I have no ill will towards Sway in any way. Loved watching him play, was really excited about his future here, but I'm just going to say that's what you get for leaving us. You have to go play on the worst basketball court in the actual existence of reality. In all multiverses, there is no basketball court that is more obscene, offensive, wrong in any way than Vanderbilt's Memorial Coliseum, whatever it's called. I don't know. It's not. It shouldn't even be memorial. Like, we should memorialize Vanderbilt's gymnasium because it is the stupidest thing that has ever existed in life. I'm sorry, I didn't know that I had that into me tonight, but there it is.
There's your late April attack on Vanderbilt Memorial Gymnasium.
Sorry, it has nothing to do with Sway. That's just you are the catalyst, Sway, for bringing that on tonight. Like, I cannot stand it if you've watched our post game shows. Like how angry I am on those.
Everybody expects that rant to come in the early fall if we find out if we're going to play there, or the week that we go play in mid-January. But late April,
this year, I think.
Late April, we're coming out to attack Vanderbilt Memorial Gymnasium as we should. Yeah, Sway and Elijah Freeman both go to other SEC schools. That hurts. Just to have to play those guys. I'm sure they're being well compensated to do so. But they are no longer with Auburn and no longer on the roster after maybe thinking one way or the other that both would be. I think that's the way of the portal. It giveth and taketh, and there's certainly plenty of suitors. Both certainly were able to find their new homes pretty quickly. So both very talented. Going to wish them the best. And as we started the show with one of our heroes, we'll quote it. We wish them the best.
We wish them the best. Maybe it did have to be this way for them. I don't know. It was a little odd though. Maybe some people had some seats behind us at a few games or something like that. Apparently that's not something you're allowed to do. I don't know. Someone fill me in on that. All right. Well, good luck to them. And certainly not for Sway when we face you against Vanderbilt, but obviously we loved watching them while we were here. And they were a big contributing factor to the success the team did find, especially at the end of the season. Rest of this team, boy, busy week. And I think we have all of the new additions confirmed except for one. When I say confirmed, I mean there's been an official signee post from the university. Am I correct? Have you seen that?
I have not seen one for our return on the trade of Sway. Yeah.
The return of all right, let's give you the whole picture here, and then we can talk about each one if we need to. So 4 different announcements, and then 3 signees officially for us this week. We had Owen Freeman from Creighton, originally Iowa, if I've got that right, signed or announced first and signed. Adam Olson from South Alabama. It's not unheard of for a Coach Pearl of any nature to play somebody and go, hey, I like that. Let me get one of those. And then Thomas Dowd from Troy, in-state flavor. A lot of success for Troy over the last couple of years, so no shock there. And then, as Austin referenced, a little bit of a trade for Sway, I guess. George Kimball III.
Yes.
George Kimball III. That announcement and commitment has been brought up, but what we were saying is there's been no, at this time, Sunday evening, a signee post or anything like that confirming everything's official and done. But sometimes these take a few days to get everything, all the money to come on through.
All the I's dotted and T's crossed and checks cleared.
And checks cleared, all that stuff. So Austin, who do you want to talk about first? What sticks out to you the most from this group that's being added?
Oh man, I really want to say something, but I won't. I think
I've already had a rant. Go ahead.
It doesn't matter. I think you've got athleticism. I think that you certainly see in Owen Freeman, Adam Olson, and Thomas Dowd, all guys that were able to play last year, or that were physically healthy enough to play last year. Guys who have shown that they have athletic ability at their spots that they were able to kind of outside of. I'll talk about just Adam and Thomas. Owen was hurt for a lot of last year, but Adam and Thomas both were able to really take over their league and were the premier players on their team as far as shooting, rebounding, and skill set. And so both obviously familiar with each other from the, help me. What's the league? That is the Sun Belt Conference.
You got it. Yep.
I saw the logo. I just couldn't pull it. And both obviously I think we're probably, in those mid-major leagues, you look at guys who are the portal comp candidates to kind of jump in and be hot names somewhere else. They both end up at Auburn. I think you're going to both see them contribute pretty early on. Similar positions, but both fill up a stat sheet. So really excited to see both of them. Owen Freeman, obviously there's the connection with Matt Gatens from his time at Iowa, who now is on staff at Auburn. Had a very successful, very promising freshman year at Iowa, and then just gets hurt at Creighton. but as a lot of familiarity with Matt Gatens and others on this Auburn staff, and I think they're really hoping he can
Big
maybe
Ten
reclaim.
freshman of the year. Am I
That's right?
Yeah,
That's right.
4 at Iowa. So
yep. Hoping they can
pedigree's
reclaim some of that magic, that pedigree, like you said. And then George Kimball III. This was always going to be a unique get for Auburn because the guard room is set, right? I shouldn't say that.
Well, roughly,
the guard room is established as far as what they are at Auburn and who they can be in Tahad and KO. You were going to have to sell a guy on maybe some less minutes here, but maybe he has a couple more years to be here at Auburn and can be a focus going forward. After maybe Tahad and KO have successful years and get drafted in the first round after taking Auburn to a national championship. So all that to say,
no. You don't get to throw that in and we got to stop. What did you just say?
I'm just manifesting. That's all.
Okay, go ahead.
Is that maybe so? George Kimball's that guy. Didn't get to play a lot at Vanderbilt last year due to injury. Comes from Eastern Kentucky. Before that, Auburn's had some guard success there in recent years with Wendell Green, and they would certainly look similar players.
Can he shoot from the logo? That's what I want to know.
That's all we need, Kimball, is we just need you to put it up from Opelika. So a good bit of roster filled out for Auburn this week officially, and I think you'll still see a couple more to come. Our friend WT mentions that Emeka Oporom also jumped in the portal this week, which is to be understood with some big size already coming in with Buki Aboye, Narcisse Nagoy. And of course he's had some health issues too, but that have kept him off the court. So we certainly wish him the best in health and in playing. But we'll get to see how this roster fills out. So this is what you're going to see every year. It's a bunch of names, new names. Mm-hmm. How they all fit together is what the magic word is.
I know this really doesn't make a lot of people excited, but I love the fact that Auburn is going after in-state talent with South Alabama's Adam Olson and Thomas Dowd from Troy. I am a big proponent that Auburn, Alabama, South Alabama, Troy, UAB, and even some of the smaller schools are just UAH at times too, has had some really
Cheney Johnson,
for crying out loud. Really good success, and I think it's undervalued in the basketball space. And I've always advocated that we should have this early season, showcase event that happens in each one of the big states, all the way up and down. We'll talk about that another day. No time. But picking up some of the best of each of these guys is really cool. I love that. I think that's a really cool storyline that doesn't get missed in this, and hopefully they do work out here. That we'll see if they're ready for the SEC and not the Sun Belt, as you said, but. Certainly, they have been the best of the best on their team and in their conference at this current time. The Owen Freeman trade of Freeman for a Freeman, I guess, is a little bit maybe a risk. Just is he back fully healthy and all that kind of stuff? But you've seen that the pedigree is there.
The upside is there. Yeah,
the upside is really there. But when you kind of break this down, you're starting to see this team come together. If you really think about it, because now with some of the departures that were up in the air and things like that, you've got probably your core big men in Owen and Narcisse Ngoy and Buki Aboye. You got that maybe other forward group now with Adam Olson, Thomas Dowd, Kevin Overton, Tahad Pettiford as your kind of guard tandem alongside George Kimball. Assuming Blake Musalik will be here, and then Simon Walker. I think that's what you're looking at this point, is starting to finally bring this team together. So my final question to you is, where do you feel that there is room / who is there a final add or two to this roster?
Yeah, I think you're still going to see, especially with the Mecca maybe going, that opens up a scholarship.
Sure.
But I think that there's still certainly a room for a shooter on this team, a catch and shoot guy. I mentioned the country a few weeks ago, and it's now kind of made its rounds around the Twitter sphere. I think that is definitely still on the table. As we saw with Narcisse, that is, the international flavor can take a little bit longer and take some time to work through things. Still think that's all on the table, but I do think Auburn has one or two spots they can still fill if they so choose. We've always seen Bruce Pearl before, and maybe this will follow with Steven Sue, keep one of those scholarships, maybe a reward, a walk-on and as time comes. But I think there's an opportunity to still get a guy who's really the shooter that can fill it up from anywhere. And we'll see if that comes. But portal season never ends, so It's officially over in terms of who can go in, but there's still plenty of action to come.
I do feel like this one went by really quickly though. Like once it got figured out real quick. At least the bulk of everything. And it's like after the Buki Oboye commit and transfer in, everything else started kind of falling into place. Not to say that he's the centerpiece for everything. Well, he is the centerpiece. I mean, yes. Anyway, all right, before I go further down to that, real quick on the end, I think we do need to mention the women's basketball team as well. Not only did they secure a core 6 that are going to be retained this year, which is a lot different from the first year for Coach Larry Vickers, where he was literally having to convince people to come back. And it's not any of a reflection on him. It's just the way the state of the program was in with a sudden change from the previous head coach. But year 2, he does get that core 6 to start, but he's got, I think I got them all, 4 signees that have been added to this team. 1 from Indiana, 1 from Seton Hall, 1 from Miami. And then the one that I want to mention very quickly because it's a unique story and I had to do a double take. Savannah Scott, you're not related because you're not that tall. You know, I mean, let's be honest. So Savannah Scott returns from UCF, in some regards, a center in the women's basketball space is what she regards. And she was previously here at Auburn, left with the new tenure and decided, hey, you know, maybe the grass isn't so bad. That wasn't so bad after all. I like Auburn. So, hey, it's nice to have her back. And so you got this core group staying. Who knows if they're done yet, but that's a 10 on the roster to start off with, at least. Looks like things are going a little bit more smoothly for Coach Larry Vickers in the start of year 2.
Something to build on. He's not the Will Smith meme walking in there when he got hired and was like, "Where's everybody?" But so he's got some people with him this time. But yeah, I love seeing Savannah Scott come home. That's very cool to see. You don't those rare cases of a kid leaving and then coming back to a school. The portal giveth and taketh, and in this way, Savannah Scott got to come home to Auburn. So very cool. And these other signees, I'm excited to see. There's some bigger schools they're coming from than we saw in the previous portal cycle for women's basketball, where they were. I don't want to say they were just taking anybody they could, but they had to fill that room up. So I like that we get to see maybe some higher experience, higher D1 power come into Auburn and help Coach Vickers get this thing turned around. So yeah, very exciting.
Positive vibes coming out of the transfer portal when you're pulling from names like that. And, you know, it doesn't hurt to get a familiar name and face back to kind of help everybody connect with year 2 for Coach Larry Vickers. So exciting start for them as they, it seems like getting very quickly to the end of their portal season as well. All right.
I did hear, Kyle, that I think that next year during men's basketball games, there's going to be a new kiosk out there where you can buy white chocolate. It's going to be awesome. Something like, too, you can like get some reverse Oreos you can dip in. It's going to be awesome.
I'm going to move on. I'm just getting out of here before it's just that. What's your email? What's your email?
E2C@gmail.com.
No, not my email.
Just DM the E2C Network Twitter account.
Yeah, that's fine. You can DM it right now. We'll talk about that later. So, this week, man. All right. Other main topic this week we got to talk about. If Austin can get it together for 1 minute. How long were you sitting on that?
So long. I was trying to figure out how to work it in.
I'm so proud of you and so disappointed in you all at the same time. With that in mind, let's talk about our other main topic this week. Auburn in the NFL draft. It's usually a yearly segment for us because even with the rough patch that Auburn football has been in, we're still sending people to the NFL. And might I add, a lot of times these players are finding their ways not only onto rosters, but to significant playing time. So the question will become of which of these draftees, signees, and anybody else that finds their way to an NFL roster, who will be the next wave of talent from Auburn in the NFL. Let's go through the list. We'll break it up here because there's actually a good portion between draftees and actual signees and things like that. Your NFL draft for Auburn football, Mr. Keldrick Falk, no shock there. Round 1, very late, 31. He goes to the Tennessee Titans. Kieron Crawford goes in round 3 to the Las Vegas Raiders. I got to get used to saying that. Connor Liu to the Cincinnati Bengals, round 4. Right behind him, Jeremiah Wright to the New Orleans Saints in round 4, and then Bobby Jamison Travis to the New York Jets in round 5. So all Auburn Tigers go before the 6th round, and 5 of them in total. If I've got all of them, I think I've got them all listed here correctly. So Austin, was this a sneaky good draft for Auburn? Like, it felt like it when you look at the numbers and things like that in terms of the amount drafted, given where the program's currently been and all that kind of stuff, and how high some of these guys were drafted.
Yeah, I mean, just about everybody was done before, mid-afternoon on the last day, and so that's pretty exciting to see that the talent was there. It's certainly in the trenches, which is where all these guys were, and so
Literally.
I think, and so I think that's exciting to see, as that's been a weak spot for Auburn football for a while, to see, 5 guys go in the first 5 rounds. Certainly you want to see that number grow, and with more success, I think you see that happens, but it's not as bleak as it's been in recent years. And so pretty fun draft for Auburn fans. Headlined by Mr. Keldrick Falk. He snuck in there. I was a little nervous that he'd be one of those that, there was one guy this year, but man, when they go up there to the draft and they're in the green room and like they don't get picked, I don't know what it is, but I just
secondhand embarrassment.
I got a little soft spot though, man. I'm like, that poor kid. And I mean, they're going to be fine. Like, they're going to get picked within the first 5 the next day, but it's like, that's the Will Smith meme. It's everybody's gone. It's like, I'm just sitting here, and but anyway, it wasn't Keldrick Falk, and he gets to go to the Titans, which I'm sure is a healthy fan base for many of our Auburn fans as well. So exciting times for Keldrick, and gets to play in Auburn North, like you said.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, Austin. This is the first rounder for Auburn since 2020.
I believe so. I'm going off your note in our note, but I think I couldn't think of who that was, but I don't remember.
Noah Igbenogany. I think it was 2. Noah Igbenogany
and gosh, it's been that long,
because it was the COVID year and they were doing it from home. And I remember how he snuck in there at the end. So let me just point something out to somebody. What else happened in 2020 and then kept a 5-year stint of mediocrity going when people said we were mediocre? What else happened in 2020, Austin?
Waffle House.
Waffle House. The Waffle House didn't happen. That's the problem. We didn't spend enough time at Waffle House because you know why. If you know, it didn't have to be this way. That's all I'm going to say. I'll say it again.
We're at a record here.
It didn't have to be this way. But I'm very excited for him. Certainly he was the high profile guy for Auburn in this draft class, certainly a little bit later than maybe he wanted, or the Auburn fandom having to wait up on that Friday evening. We're getting a little bit antsy about, but finding the home in the Titans is going to be really exciting. You wonder kind of maybe with Derek Hall out there, and then now you've got Tennessee, if he locks in here at Tennessee Titans, you've got a really good group of these, as you talked about, guys in the trenches on the defensive side. Yes, here really to be excited about if you're an Auburn NFL person. Also want to just give a shout out to like Jeremiah Wright and to Connor Lou for finding their place, especially with Connor, who had his injury in the season. And you wonder if he's not injured, does he go just a little bit higher? Because I mean, that pedigree was spotted very early, and then, who knows what happened, after that, if he had not gotten injured, if he had gotten a little bit there. But Jeremiah Wright as well has been here through a lot and changed positions, if you remember that as well too. Yeah. So he gets drafted too. So I'm excited for that. And I think Bobby Jamison Travis gets forgotten about a lot in this because he was a very, secure position in there on the line for Auburn. And so I think it's appropriate, Austin, given we're talking about Bobby Jamison Travis, Keyron Crawford, and Keldrick Falk. Let's give some shout outs to Vontrell King Williams. Defensive line. I mean, look at this. 3 guys in this draft for him alone. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's huge. And the guy who had not been a coach before Durkin elevated him was an analyst, and then gets to take on the gig full time, move up, and was doubted by quite a few people, and has just absolutely gone on to produce obviously 3 draftees, has recruited very well. And has produced on-field results in college, and now hopefully to these guys in the pros. So, yeah, big kudos to him, and big pat on the back to him. And I think Auburn football did that today by putting out a picture of him and the 3 guys. So that very cool for Vontrell, and he's feeling really proud.
I want to ask you this: of this group of five, Falk, Crawford, Lou, Wright, Jamison, Travis, who will be the guy that sticks out from this draftee class the most early on? What do you think? The easy answer is Falk, and that may be the right answer, but what do you think?
I don't have a lot. Like, I don't think any of them are on great teams, and so that's kind of hard. Like, Derek Hall obviously stood out on his own, but then the Seahawks defense was incredible. They ended up going to win the Super Bowl, everything. So that helps elevate him a little bit. For my gut, just says Kieron Crawford with the Raiders, and I don't know why.
It matches him for some reason. I don't know.
Yes, that's what I was thinking. It just fits. And I'm not saying he fits Vegas or anything like that.
But it just like the Raider mentality, and Kieron Crawford just kind of like fits.
Definitely. Yeah. When I watched the video of him like getting the call and being excited, I was like, he is so pumped to like that. That's a good match right there.
That's a good pick.
And I don't really know why. But obviously something worked out well for them to see in him, and he tested well with them. So that's my gut feeling is that's a similar spot in Derek Hall's pick as well. And I just feel like that might be a good location, good situation for Kieron Crawford.
Well, let me use what you said about Kieron and talking about maybe how much under the radar a little bit. But if you remember, I'm going to talk about with Jeremiah Wright, both of them, but I'm going to use it to talk about Wright. They both really caught people's attention during the Senior Bowl, some of these lead ups and workouts and things like that for how they were moving some very talented people around in some of these situations, which obviously helped them. Jeremiah Wright goes to New Orleans Saints. I have no clue what their roster is in terms of offensive line, but it would not shock me seeing how long Jeremiah Wright has just stuck it out, hung with it through regime change and all that stuff, and just been a solid force in the middle of all this chaos. Can he find, if there's chaos on that team, can he be that guy on the offensive line that suddenly you're looking on Monday Night Football and it's Jeremiah Wright, Auburn University, coming up really quickly. So I just want to give him a little bit of shout out. Good group for the draftees.
It is.
Now, undrafted free agents. We've seen some very surprising people sometimes not go drafted and then make their way and make their name through this process. And some people that you knew weren't going to get drafted still make their way. So let's talk about who those are. Dylan Wade to the Green Bay Packers. I have an affinity towards the Packers, even though I'm not really a true fan, but just grown up liking them with some family.
You just like the cheesehead, that's all.
I did, and then they kept drafting too many Alabama players, and they hurt me, and that's why we're not on good terms right now.
Yeah,
so
well, it's understandable.
Brandon Frazier, not too far away to the ATL and the Atlanta Falcons. Mason Murphy hasn't been here long, but he was part of the offensive line this year. Chicago Bears, he's going to be wearing the orange and blue still. And then Isaiah Miller, another mainstay on that offensive line. I had hoped he would get drafted, to be honest with you, to the Cleveland Browns. But here we sit with 4, at this time, undrafted signees. There is one more for a camp invite I want to touch on in a minute. But there's your group right there. You've got offensive line, tight end, offensive line, and tight end. So and tight ends help with the offensive line blocking and stuff like that. So, it's funny, Austin. For as much as we lamented about the struggles of the unit, these individuals are finding success, and I think that's a testament to them as individuals, at least.
That's right. There's some raw talent there to be unlocked, and they certainly come off to these NFL scouts in one way or another. That there's something there that they might have to be able to squeeze out of them. So best of luck to those guys. Signees as undrafted free agents is got to feel good. And like, I think we talk about this every year around this time, but around those late rounds, you're kind of wondering, do I want to pick where I get to go live, or do I want to get drafted and it be picked for me? I don't know how close these guys were. Maybe they were, maybe not. You talked about Isaiah Too-Tall Miller. Maybe he really wanted to go to Cleveland, and now he gets to. So congrats to those guys, and best of luck to them. I hope they're the fun story we get to talk about, that they went undrafted and made the league and had a long career.
Isaiah's like, I've been through these last few years of Auburn. Ain't nothing that Cleveland could do me that can hurt me.
Ain't nothing. Dylan Wade's like, look, I've been down there on the plains during all this. I'll go to Green Bay and freeze my hiney off.
Yeah, listen, you can go freeze your hiney off up there, but at least they've had success up there. So there's worse things that you can go do. Brandon Frazier, listen, being this close, it'd be cool to see him find his way maybe on like special teams first, and then find some way to get some snaps at tight end and things like that finally. But I'm happy to see him have success. A lot of these guys, what we're saying here is a comment. They've been here, they've worked through all of the mess that has been Auburn football, and I'm glad that they're getting some rewards in some way for it. Finally, I want to bring this one up, and we may be missing some or new news.
I checked again recently, and I haven't seen anything.
I just want to give out a shout out to our boy Justin Jones, who gets a camp invite to the Seattle Seahawks, so he can go hang out with Derek Hall and everybody else over there, the champions. He's got to obviously work his way onto the official roster and things like that, but that's all you can ask for is an opportunity. Justin Jones, if you're not aware, has been very much not buried, I shouldn't say that, but far down the depth chart, except at times this year, getting a lot more opportunities to run the ball. And when he did, he ran with a ferocity. So this is a guy that has never been a name that the non-Auburn public would recognize from the running back room, getting an opportunity. So what that tells me is those tapes are showing up for these NFL people and saying, hey, there's something to this guy. He never got his real big opportunity. Let's see what he can do in a camp situation. So I just want to give the boy a shout out because I think he started as a walk-on and obviously earned a scholarship and, got more playing time. But I mean, this is a really cool, and hey, you get to go play with Derek Hall. So that's not so bad.
Well, yeah. I mean, this is nothing new to him to be undrafted and then have someone take a flyer on him and him make an opportunity out of it. Yep. And so it's no different here. Situation just to step up. And not only that, the people taking a flyer on you are the reigning world champions. And so they're obviously doing something right. They see something in you, then you got something to prove. So best of luck to Justin. And man, I would love to see him make camp, make the team, and find a role and be that next Cinderella success story.
You never know what they need in terms of a versatile scat back type of person. And he can work his way through special teams, all that kind of stuff. And I'm sure Derek Hall will be pulling for him and helping him along the way. Not a bad situation if you don't get drafted or signed in an official way. Last thing I want to do in this segment before we head out, I love to get predictions. So since we have wrapped up the NFL draft for Auburn this year, let's go ahead and get on the record, Austin. Who will be the headliners from next year? Now, you've got some real easy ones, I think, for next year for the 2027 NFL draft for Auburn. I'll just let you say the number one person who will be picked next year, most likely.
The number one person?
Not number one overall, but the highest draft pick for Auburn will likely be.
I think Xavier Atkins has a pretty good opportunity.
Yes.
Now he's a smaller, undersized guy for his position and what the league looks for. But if he can put together another really good year, I think he's got a lot of athleticism and a lot of talent. That'll be hard for NFL scouts to not want to jump all over. You can really hope Byron Brown has a really good year and puts up a bunch of more numbers like he did at South Florida. The NFL jump at a quarterback make an analogy. I'm not going to go there really quickly. So you never know what could happen. Your quarterback has a good year. The receivers can have a good year. I would be surprised if you see something come from there. But I think Xavier Atkins is who everyone is looking to right now to see, can he sneak into that first round too as the next good Auburn linebacker?
I'm going to give you the three that you brought up too, one from each of the units. Byron Brown, yes, most likely at this point is maybe the best candidate. I'll bring you one more up in a second. Number two on defense, or overall, Xavier Atkins is probably going to be the highest choice at this point if he chooses to go. Alex McPherson.
I was going to say him too.
With his journey, and as we've shared some videos of him, his leg is looking very strong, not just in a one-off, in multiple off opportunities at the A-Day game, the lead up to it in the actual game.
Brother also already in the league.
Exactly. So that's not going to hurt his chances. And Jeremiah Cobb.
Yeah.
What we think about Jeremiah Cobb? I mean, this is his senior year. I mean, I guess he could stay for a fifth year, but running backs are, they tend to not have as long.
They got so many carries. Yeah. Certainly, I could see it. I think you've got some linemen too, like Cole Best, guys who are 6-year players that have been around a lot of football that could get drafted. Guys can stand out on their own. Obviously, these guys did with not a very great year. But the more success you have as a team, the more high profile you get and the more opportunities you have. So they can make a lot of their own kind of money this year, so to say, if they have a good year on the field at Auburn.
And I'm going to make one more prediction. It just popped in my head. Sylvester Smith. I think this would be year 3 for him. And he's been sneaky good. And I wonder if he wouldn't want to take an early jump. I'm just trying to throw names out there.
Sure.
predict the future. That one popped in my head I think Champ Anthony, if he can stay healthy and, retain that success that he had, could also be an option there too. And there's plenty of others.
Jared Smith isn't eligible, but thank goodness he's not.
Yes, thank goodness he's not. Although Byron's probably like, that guy get out of here because he's problems at A-Day. But he'll hopefully get problems at other teams as well. But no matter what, there's some names for you to think about for the 2027 Auburn NFL Draft. And that's going to do it for episode 170 of the Auburn Experience podcast. Hey, Kyle made it through after the week he had. We'll see how this next week goes. By the way, as a quick housekeeping note, at this moment on Sunday at 10:15 p.m. Eastern time, the E2C Network account is not under my control on X. We have an issue with a hacker. So keep that in mind. If you are getting any requests, things like that from us right now, ignore them. We will definitely put out an official, well, I shouldn't say what we're going to do, but because they'll start doing those things too.
We are live right now on it.
Yes.
So
that's
nothing has been posted.
Okay.
But yeah, just be smart and be aware of that what might be sent by you or sent by what you think is us. Kyle's character. And so please just don't click anything.
Yes. So just be aware of that. And we're working on, obviously we haven't lost full connectivity to it with this broadcasting there, but just something to keep in mind. Austin, if they want to keep up with you, where can they do that? Obviously not the E2C Network accounts.
Yeah, well, you can DM all your complaints there for the time being. That's totally fine. They might give us the account back, so please DM them.
Yes.
But Austin G. Scott is where you can find me. Unless you're a hacker, I want nothing to do with you.
Yes, I agree as well. You can find me, obviously, mainly on the E2C Network accounts, except X this week.
You can find him here.
Here, I'm here. And then I'm not all here, but I'm here. And then e2cnetwork@gmail.com is a great way to get in contact with us as well. We appreciate you all being in for episode 170. As always, we remind you as we leave the Auburn Creed, ask you to do justly, love mercy, and walk humbly with God. We ask you to do the same. War Eagle.
War Eagle.